Hello there, I'm Evan Brand, certified functional medicine practitioner and nutritional therapist, talking with you today about my stool test results. I run a GI map, which is a comprehensive DNA-based PCR stool test, about twice a year on myself. I think you should probably do it too if you're not, because 1 in 3 has parasite infections, 2 out of every 3 people have bacterial infections, and about 2.5 or even higher out of 3 has some type of a yeast or a fungal overgrowth. So it's really just critical due to the massive amount of antibiotics and the conventional meats that you're eating, due to antibiotics from birth that you've had, due to doing too much kombucha and fermented veggies. You can actually have too much of a good thing in that sense and feed bad bacteria, and then you have an overgrowth. Now, I'll link up a video here of signs and symptoms of parasite so you can understand more about that, as well as you can check out my Candida video. Mainly it's going to be things like bloating, burping, gas, fatigue, headaches, joint pain sometimes sugar cravings. These can all be related to gut bugs. Now, also I did a video on depression, and if you know a little bit of my story, I dealt with depression for over a decade, IBS, same thing, and there's a huge link between the gut and your mood. So anxiety, depression, there's this gut-brain axis that we talk about in functional medicine, and that's important to consider if you have some type of a mental illness. Going to a psychotherapist, a psychiatrist, a psychologist, cool. Might help, can't hurt, but it's not going to get to the root cause. So today we're going to look at some root causes here. Here's the CDC website talking about Cyclospora. This is the infection that I showed up with. It's a very, very tiny parasite. And it says here, you're infected with Cyclospora by consuming food or water contaminated with the parasite. I eat quite a lot of berries, but this time of the year, it's not possible to source local organic berries. So a lot of the blueberries that I get come from Chile or some other South American country. And it's likely that that's where I pick these things up. Let's go over to my stool test here, review this together. So we've got several different bacterial species that I need to get rid of. Now you see these Bacillus spp, you see the Enterococcus here, the Pseudomonas, you see the Staphylococcus, the other Staphylococcus, the Streptococcus. All of these should be below detectable limits in a perfect world. That's what you want to see. The autoimmune trigger I've got here, that's a higher priority. Anything in the autoimmune triggering category, like Klebsiella, if I had that, that would be a needle mover. The Citrobacter, equally as important to get rid of. According to this, no Candida, so that's good. Now let's go down to our next page. This is where the parasite showed up, so you take a look here. Cyclospora spp. So I'm in the E4 category. This is like to the second power, to the third power, to the fourth power. So it's not too much higher over the reference range. So it shouldn't take us too long, maybe 6 weeks for us to get rid of this. And if you haven't seen my other videos or heard my story, I had other parasites previously. I had an H. pylori infection, which is a bacterial infection. I also had Giardia and Cryptosporidium, which are 2 waterborne parasites that can cause loose stool, weight loss, nausea, fatigue, things like that. Now with this Cyclospora, the only thing I noticed was loose stool. I had 1 day of loose stool and that was it. And I thought that's weird because I didn't change anything in my diet. But when you have bowel changes, you've got to pay attention. That doesn't just happen just because. There's typically an underlying cause. The day after I got my results back, I looked, I said, oh, there it is. It's Cyclospora that caused that. Also, I had some headaches. Even though I was drinking plenty of water, I still had headaches. Didn't make sense. Cyclospora, if you look into the symptoms, it could also cause headaches, fatigue, quite a few symptoms, really. Nausea as well, dizziness in some cases. Take a look at this. You're going to see what actually happens when you have infections. You see that my steatocrit has jumped up. I'm at 25% now. That's not good. That means that I've got an elevated fecal fat, meaning I'm not digesting my fats, likely due to what the Cyclospora is doing. I'm likely shutting down enzyme production and not actually producing as much bile as I should be from the gallbladder to digest fat. So we've got to up the enzymes, which I'm already doing. And then notice here the beta-glucuronidase is just a bit high. Now this is an enzyme that can be high for many reasons, which means you're starting to recirculate things. So toxins, hormones, things like that, you're recirculating that. It's got a closed loop and you don't want a closed loop. You want an open loop. So we need to get that back down. We're going to do that with a liver gallbladder supplement that I have. Also, I'm going to use a couple of probiotic species to knock this out. Regarding the killing of the Cyclospora, what we're going to do there, I've got several different herbal formulas, one called GI Pro I'm going to be using, stacking that with my oregano formula, maybe throw a little bit of silver in there, run that pretty hard for about 6 weeks, then I'll retest, make sure it's gone. My success rate is very high with this approach / protocol, and I'll be good to go. Then post-infection support, which comes later, that's phase 2. That's going to be where we bring in some of the mucosal support. So I've got a formula called GI Soothe that I'm going to use. It's got cat's claw and chamomile and okra extract and several other nutrients to heal up the leaky gut situation. If you've seen the leaky gut programs and you've heard about that on the internet, cool, that's great. But you could take all the leaky gut supplements in the world and it's not going to fix the issue if you've still got something like Cyclospora that's pulling apart those tight junctions. So you've got to get rid of the bugs first, then move on to the healing phase. All these people talking about a bone broth diet and daily bone broth detox and stuff like that, cool. But it's not going to fix the infection. So make sure you dig to the root cause. The conventional approach to this would be some type of an anti-parasitic drug, possibly an antibacterial antibiotic drug as well, stacked upon each other, and it probably wouldn't work because these bugs are getting resistant. So I don't prescribe them. Even if I could prescribe them, I wouldn't, because the herbs are so great and we're not seeing any type of resistance to herbs because they're so unique and the constituents they have. We're able to knock out bugs time and time again, very high success rate with herbs. So I'll just leave that quick mention to you. If you're considering conventional medicine, one, their stool testing is so inaccurate, a gastroenterologist would probably never find this infection. Even if you did present this lab test to them, they'd probably scoff at the idea of you using herbs to eradicate it. In fact, there's entire websites dedicated to trying to shame herbal medicine and say that you can only eradicate parasites using anti-parasitic drugs. Not true.
Fake news.
So this is Evan Brand signing out. If you suspect you've got gut bugs, get yourself tested. I'll put the link below so you can learn more about testing and consultation, and I'll talk with you soon. Take care. Bye.